Hey everyone, welcome back to Creepy N. So today's video is definitely going to creep you out. In this video we're getting into 4 disturbing camping experiences from the Colorado wilderness that people never forgot. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and let me know if you want more stories like this. Alright, let's get into tonight's stories. Story 1. I was 23 when I took that trip to Rocky Mountain National Park. It was late September, right when the tourists cleared out, and the air started getting that sharp, cold edge to it. I'd been working 70-hour weeks at a tech startup in Denver, and I just needed silence. Real silence. The kind you can't buy in the city. My apartment had started feeling like a cage. My roommate played video games until 3 in the morning, and the couple upstairs fought every single night. I'd lie in bed listening to muffled screaming through the ceiling, wondering how people could live like that. So, when my boss approved my time off, I didn't tell anyone my exact plans. I just said I was going camping in Rocky Mountain National Park, and left it at that. I spent 2 days researching dispersed camping spots. I didn't want a campground with RVs and families. I wanted to be alone. Completely alone. I found a forum post from a hiker who mentioned a beautiful area about 2 miles off the Bear Lake trailhead near a creek with a small clearing, perfect for a tent. No coordinates, just a vague description. That felt right to me. The hike-in was perfect. Golden aspens everywhere, the afternoon sun coming through the leaves in shafts of dusty light. I passed 3 other hikers on the main trail, and we did that polite nod thing people do in the wilderness. After about 40 minutes, I found the cutoff the forum post mentioned. It wasn't marked, just a gap between 2 large boulders that looked like it might lead somewhere. I pushed through some brush and found the clearing. It was exactly what I wanted, maybe 30 feet across, surrounded by pines, with the sound of running water just downhill. I could see maybe 50 feet in any direction before the forest got too thick. Private. Peaceful. I set up my tent, gathered some fallen wood for a fire, and filtered water from the creek. By the time the sun started setting, I had a small fire going and a freeze-dried beef stroganoff rehydrating in its pouch. I sat there on a log, eating straight from the bag, watching the sky turn orange and then purple and then black. I felt good. Better than I had in months. No phone signal. No noise. No one needing anything from me. Just the fire, the trees, and the darkness. I stayed up until maybe 10 o'clock, letting the fire burn down to coals. Then I brushed my teeth with water from my bottle, hung my food bag from a tree branch about 100 feet away, and crawled into my tent. I brought a thick sleeping pad and a 20-degree bag, so I was warm despite the temperature dropping fast. I fell asleep listening to the creek and the wind moving through the pines. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. I know the exact time because I checked my phone, thinking maybe I'd heard something. But there was nothing, just silence. Complete silence. The wind had stopped. The creek had gone quiet. I couldn't hear insects or small animals moving through the brush. It was the kind of silence that feels heavy, like the air itself is holding its breath. I lay there in my sleeping bag, eyes open in the darkness, listening. My tent was good quality, but thin, just nylon between me and whatever was outside. I could hear my own heartbeat, my own breathing, nothing else. Then I heard it. Breathing that wasn't mine. Slow, steady, just outside my tent. Maybe 5 feet away, the kind of breathing you hear when someone's trying to be quiet, trying to control it, but can't help the slight wetness in their throat. I froze, completely still. My bear spray was clipped to the tent wall near my head, and I slowly, carefully, moved my hand toward it. My fingers were shaking. The fabric of my sleeping bag rustled slightly, and the breathing outside stopped. I stopped moving. Seconds passed, maybe 30, maybe a minute. Then the breathing started again, but closer. Right next to the tent wall near my head. "I know you're awake," a man's voice said. Quiet, calm, almost friendly. My hand found the bear spray. I gripped it but didn't unclip it yet. I didn't move. I didn't respond. "I can hear your heart," he said. "It's beating so fast." He wasn't wrong. I could feel it pounding in my chest, in my throat, in my ears. "I've been watching you since you got here," he continued. His voice was conversational, like we were having coffee. "I watched you set up your tent. I watched you make your fire. I watched you hang your food bag. You did everything right. Very careful. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but I was trapped in a nylon bag, inside a nylon tent, in the middle of the woods, with no help for miles. You're alone," he said. "No one knows exactly where you are, do they? You told people Rocky Mountain National Park, but that's 265,000 acres. They'll never find this exact spot. I made sure of that when I deleted that forum post you read. I posted it 3 months ago. You're the 4th person to find this place because of it." My blood went cold. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. "Not tonight, but I want you to know that I could. I want you to think about that. I want you to lie there in your tent and understand how easy it would be, how vulnerable you are, how you trusted a stranger on the internet to lead you somewhere beautiful, and instead he led you here. To me, I heard footsteps then, not hurrying, just walking, casual, moving away through the forest, branches cracking under boots, getting quieter, then gone. I didn't move. I lay there with the bear spray in my hand, eyes open, listening. Every sound made me flinch. The wind starting up again, the creek resuming its flow, a branch falling somewhere in the distance. I didn't sleep. I waited for sunrise. When the first grey light started seeping through the tent fabric, I sat up and looked outside through the mesh window. The clearing looked normal, peaceful, morning mist rising from the ground. I packed everything in under 10 minutes. My hands were still shaking. I didn't bother with breakfast. I just wanted out. As I was leaving, I saw it, on a tree about 20 feet from where my tent had been. Fresh cuts in the bark, still weeping sap. Someone had carved something with a knife. Just a date, yesterday's date. And 3 tally marks underneath it. I hiked out faster than I'd ever hiked in my life. When I got back to the main trail, I saw a young couple heading in with backpacks, holding a printed map. I almost stopped them, almost told them not to go. But what would I say? Don't camp anywhere, don't trust the internet, don't be alone. I just kept walking. I never reported it. Who would I report it to? A man who breathed near my tent and said creepy things? No crime was committed. Nothing was taken. I wasn't hurt. But I think about those tally marks. 3 of them. 3 people before me. And I wonder if he's still out there, posting helpful advice on hiking forums, leading people to that perfect little clearing by the creek, teaching them the same lesson he taught me. That isolation isn't always freedom. Sometimes it's just being alone with something you can't see coming. I was 27 when Emma and I drove to Colorado. We'd been together for 2 years and things were good. Really good. The kind of relationship where you finish each other's sentences and know what the other person needs before they ask. We talked about marriage. We'd looked at rings online late at night, laughing about designs we'd never choose, but somehow ended up looking at anyway. The camping trip was her idea. She'd grown up camping with her family in the Rockies, and she wanted to share that with me. I'd only been camping a handful of times, but I loved how her eyes lit up when she talked about it, how she described waking up to sunrise over the mountains, drinking coffee that tasted better outside, the way the stars looked without city lights drowning them out. We chose the San Juan National Forest, near Durango. Emma had camped there as a kid, and she knew a spot off the beaten path. "It's perfect," she'd said, studying the map in our apartment. "Private, beautiful, and there's this overlook where you can see for miles." We arrived on a Friday in late October. The aspens had already dropped most of their leaves, and the air had that brittle quality that comes right before winter. We hiked in about 3 miles, following a trail that got fainter the deeper we went. Emma led the way, moving confidently through the forest like she'd done it 1,000 times. "This is it," she said, dropping her pack in a small clearing surrounded by pines. "This is the spot. It was beautiful." She was right about that. The overlook was maybe 50 feet away, offering a view of valleys and ridges stretching into the distance. The kind of view that makes you feel small in a good way. We set up camp together, that easy rhythm couples develop after doing something a few times. She'd hand me a tent pole before I asked. I'd start filtering water while she gathered firewood. We made dinner as the sun set pasta with pesto from a packet and ate sitting close together on a log, her head on my shoulder. "I'm glad we did this," she said quietly. "Me too." We stayed up late talking, the way we always did, about work, about friends, about places we wanted to travel. She told me stories about camping here as a kid, how her dad would wake her up at dawn to see elk grazing in the valley below, how her mom would make elaborate camp breakfasts that somehow tasted better than anything they ate at home. "I want to bring our kids here someday," she said, then immediately looked embarrassed. "Sorry, too much too soon." "No," I said, squeezing her hand. "I want that too." We went to bed around midnight, crawling into the tent and zipping our sleeping bags together. She fell asleep quickly, her breathing going slow and steady, but I stayed awake a while longer, listening to the wind and feeling grateful. I woke up because Emma was sitting up. It was still dark. I checked my phone. 2:47 a.m. "Em," I whispered. "You okay?" She didn't respond. She was just sitting there, completely still, facing the tent door. "Emma?" "Nothing." I reached out and touched her shoulder. She was rigid, every muscle tense. "Baby, what's wrong?" "Someone's out there," she whispered. I listened. I couldn't hear anything except the wind and the trees. "I don't hear anything except the wind and the trees." "I don't hear anything," I said softly. "They were at the tent," she said. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "They were right outside, breathing." "You didn't hear it?" "No." "Are you sure you weren't?" "I'm sure." She turned to look at me, and even in the darkness, I could see her eyes were wide. "I'm completely sure." I unzipped the tent door and looked outside with my flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating trees and rocks and empty space. Nothing moved. "There's nothing there," I said. There was. I didn't argue. I just zipped the tent back up and held her until she relaxed enough to lie back down. She didn't fall asleep again. I could tell by her breathing. She just lay there, staring at the tent ceiling. When morning came, we didn't talk about it. We made coffee and oatmeal, packed up camp, and started hiking. Emma wanted to explore further into the forest to find a lake she remembered from childhood. "It's not far," she said, studying her phone's offline map. "Maybe 2 miles northeast." We hiked in silence mostly. The forest felt different in daylight, dense and dark. The pines growing so close together that sunlight barely penetrated. I kept trying to make conversation, but Emma's responses were short, distracted. We found the lake around noon. It was smaller than I expected, maybe 100 feet across, surrounded by dead trees. The water was dark, almost black, and perfectly still. "This isn't it," Emma said, staring at the water. "This isn't the lake. Maybe we took a wrong turn." "No, this is where it should be. This isn't it." She walked closer to the shore. The lake I remember was clear. You could see the bottom. "This looks..." She didn't finish. She just stood there, staring at the water. "We should head back," I said. Something about the place made my skin crawl. The silence was too complete. No birds, no insects, no wind, just stillness. "Yeah," she said, but she didn't move. "Emma, do you ever feel like you've made a mistake?" She asked quietly. "Like you've done something wrong and you can't take it back?" "What are you talking about? I brought you here," she said. "I shouldn't have brought you here. Em, you're scaring me." She turned to look at me, and her eyes were different, hollow, like something had gone out behind them. "We need to leave," she said. "Right now." We hiked back to our campsite faster than we'd left. Emma was almost running, breathing hard, glancing over her shoulder every few minutes. I kept asking what was wrong, but she wouldn't answer, just kept walking. When we reached the clearing, our tent was open. We'd zipped it closed. Both of us remembered doing it, but the door was wide open, flapping slightly in the breeze that it picked up. "Stay here," I said. I approached the tent slowly. Looked inside. Everything was torn apart. Our sleeping bags had been pulled out and shredded. Our backpacks had been opened and emptied, their contents scattered. My spare clothes were ripped to pieces, but nothing was taken. Our food, our water filter, our stove, all there, just destroyed. "What the fuck?" I breathed. Emma was behind me. I heard her make a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. "This is my fault," she whispered. This is just some asshole, some random." "It's not random. It's not random." She was crying now. "It's not random. I knew this would happen." "What are you talking about?" She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "I've been here before. Not as a kid. Last year. With someone else. Everything went cold." "What?" "His name was Michael. Before you and I were together. Before we were serious. We came camping here and, She was shaking. "We had a fight. A bad one. He'd been drinking and he got angry and he grabbed me and I pushed him and he fell. He hit his head on a rock by the overlook. I couldn't breathe. He was bleeding so much," she continued. "I panicked. I didn't call anyone. I left him there. I hiked out and I went home and I told myself he'd be fine, that someone would find him, that it wasn't my fault. Emma, they never found him. I checked the news every day for weeks. No missing person reports. No body found. Nothing. His family thought he'd just left. He talked about disappearing before, starting over. So they believed it. I backed away from her. I brought you here because I thought I could face it," she said. "I thought if I came back with someone I loved, someone good, it would erase what happened. But it doesn't work like that. This place remembers." "You're not making sense." "Check the overlook," she said flatly. "Go check it. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe I needed to prove she was having some kind of breakdown. But I walked to the overlook, my legs moving automatically. There was a body lying at the edge, fresh, recent, face down, wearing the same jacket I was wearing, the same boots. I heard myself make a sound. Not words, just noise. I turned around. Emma was standing at the tree line watching me. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry." "What did you do?" My voice didn't sound like mine. "I didn't do anything. Not this time." She was crying harder now. "Don't you see? This place makes you pay. It makes you become the thing you did. I left someone here to die, so now." She stopped, looked past me. Her face went white. I turned. The body was gone. Just empty space where it had been. "We need to go," Emma said. "Right now. Don't look back. Don't stop. Just run." We ran. We left everything. The tent, the gear, all of it. We just ran down the trail, branches tearing at our clothes, our lungs burning. I kept expecting something to grab me from behind, to pull me down, but nothing did. We made it to the trailhead as the sun was setting. Got in the car. Emma drove. She didn't speak. Neither did I. We drove straight through the night, back to Denver. We didn't stop except for gas. When we pulled up to our apartment, Emma finally turned to me. "I need to tell someone," she said. "The police, his family. I need to confess. Emma, I can't live with this anymore. That place showed me what I am, what I did." She was shaking. "I'm a coward. I'm a murderer. And I dragged you into it." She went to the police the next day, told them everything. They investigated, sent search and rescue teams to the area she described. They never found a body. No bones, no clothes, no evidence anyone had died there. The detective told her it was possible she'd experienced a psychotic break, trauma manifesting as false memories. He recommended therapy. She took his advice. Started seeing a psychiatrist. Got on medication. We tried to move past it. We really did. But things were different. She'd look at me sometimes with this guilt in her eyes, like she'd contaminated me, like I'd seen something I could never unsee. She moved out 2 months later. Said she needed space to work on herself. I haven't seen her in 6 weeks. She won't return my calls. I tried to move on. Started dating again. Met a woman named Rachel who seemed nice. Last week she suggested we go camping. Said she knew a beautiful spot in Colorado. When she showed me the location on a map, my hands started shaking. It was the same area, the same forest. Have you been there before? I asked. Once, she said. A long time ago, with an ex-boyfriend. It didn't end well. I broke up with her that night. Made up some excuse about not being ready. But I keep thinking about what Emma said, about places that remember, about how what you do follows you, changes you, turns you into something you can't escape. I looked Emma up online yesterday. Found her social media. Her last post was from 3 days ago, a photo of mountains at sunset. The caption just said, "Going back. I've tried calling her, texting, nothing. Tomorrow I'm driving to Colorado, to that forest, to that clearing. Not because I think I can save her, because I think she's right. Some places don't let you leave until you've paid what you owe. And I think I still owe something." I was 31 when my marriage ended. Not the kind of ending where you fight and scream and throw things. The quiet kind, the kind where you wake up one morning and realize you've been living with a stranger for 3 years and you're relieved when they leave. Sarah moved out in June, took half the furniture, half the dishes, and all of the warmth that house ever had. I kept working, kept going through the motions, but by August, I felt like I was disappearing. Like I was becoming see-through. My co-workers would look past me in meetings. My parents stopped calling as much. Even my dog Cooper seemed less excited when I came home. That's when I decided to go camping. Alone, somewhere I could prove to myself that I still existed. I chose the Flat Tops Wilderness, west of Vail. I'd been there once with Sarah, back when we still pretended to enjoy each other's company. But this time would be different. This time I'd go deeper, stay longer, and maybe find whatever piece of myself I'd lost. The trailhead was empty when I arrived on a Wednesday morning in early September. I signed the logbook, shouldered my pack, and started walking. The plan was simple. Hike 8 miles in, set up camp near Trappers Lake, stay for 4 days, come back out. Enough time to think, enough time to be alone with myself. The first day was brutal. My pack was too heavy because I'd overpacked food, and the altitude hit me harder than I remembered. By the time I reached the lake, my legs were shaking and my head was pounding. I found a campsite tucked back in the trees, maybe 100 yards from the water, and set everything up mechanically. Tent, sleeping bag, bear canister, camp stove. I made dinner as the sun set. Ramen noodles with a packet of tuna mixed in. Gourmet. That's when I noticed the other tent. It was across the lake, maybe a quarter mile away, barely visible in the fading light. Just a small orange dome tucked into the tree line. I hadn't seen anyone on the trail, but that didn't mean anything. There were multiple routes to the lake. I felt a small twinge of disappointment. I'd wanted to be completely alone, but a quarter mile was far enough. I probably wouldn't even see them. I went to bed early, exhausted from the hike and the altitude. I slept hard. The next morning, I woke up to fog so thick I could barely see 10 feet. It pressed against my tent, muffling everything, turning the world gray and close. I made coffee on my camp stove and waited for it to lift, but it didn't. Not all morning. Around noon, I decided to hike anyway, just a short loop around the lake. I needed to move. The fog made everything strange. Trees appeared suddenly, looming out of the gray. The lake was invisible. but I could hear small waves lapping at the shore. I walked slowly, carefully, following the faint trail. That's when I saw the orange tent again. Except it wasn't across the lake anymore. It was on my side, maybe 50 yards from my campsite, in a small clearing I'd walked past the night before. Same orange dome tent, same style. I stood there, staring at it through the fog. Had I been wrong about the location last night? Had the distance and fading light confused me? That must be it. But something felt off. The tent looked exactly the same. Same orientation, same slight sag in the rainfly, like it had been copied and pasted into a new location. I walked closer. The tent was zipped shut, and I couldn't see any gear outside. No camp stove, no shoes, no backpack, just the tent. "Hello," I called out. Nothing, just my voice disappearing into the fog. I stood there for a long moment, then turned and walked back to my campsite. My brain was trying to rationalize it. Maybe there were two orange tents. Maybe two separate campers had the same tent. It was a popular model. I spent the afternoon reading a book I'd brought, but I couldn't focus. I kept glancing toward where I'd seen the tent, but the fog was still too thick to see anything. By evening, the fog finally lifted. The lake appeared, dark and smooth. The mountains beyond it emerged like ghosts becoming solid. I looked toward the clearing where I'd seen the orange tent. It was gone. No tent. No sign anyone had been there. Just trees and rocks and empty space. My hands started shaking. I set down the book. I walked over to the clearing, my heart pounding. The ground was undisturbed. No tent footprint. No compressed grass. No sign anyone had camped there at all. I looked across the lake to where I'd seen the tent the first night. It was there. Same orange dome. Same exact position. I felt something break inside my chest. A small, quiet snap. I went back to my tent and crawled inside, even though it was barely 6 o'clock. I lay there in my sleeping bag, staring at the nylon ceiling, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. Maybe the altitude was affecting me. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. Maybe grief does things to your brain, makes you see things that aren't there. I fell asleep telling myself that. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of a zipper. Not my zipper. Someone else's, close by. I lay there, frozen, listening. The sound stopped. Then footsteps. Soft. Moving around outside my tent, circling it slowly. I reached for my flashlight, hand shaking, and turned it on. The beam cut through the darkness inside my tent, but showed me nothing. Just the interior walls. The footsteps stopped directly outside my tent door. I could hear breathing. Shallow, quick, like someone who'd been running. "Please," I whispered. I don't know why I said it. "Please." What? "Please leave me alone. Please be real. Please don't be real." The breathing continued for maybe 30 seconds. Then the footsteps moved away. I heard the sound of a zipper again. Then silence. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat there with my flashlight on, bear spray in my hand, waiting for morning. When dawn finally came, I looked outside. The orange tent was gone from across the lake. It was next to mine, maybe 15 feet away. Same tent, same orientation, close enough that I could see the condensation on the rainfly. I packed everything I owned in 5 minutes. I didn't look at the orange tent. I didn't call out. I just hiked out as fast as my legs would carry me. 6 miles in, I passed a day hiker coming up the trail, an older man with a gray beard and trekking poles. "Morning," he said, smiling. "How's the lake?" "Fine," I managed. "There's another camper up there. Orange tent." "Oh yeah?" He nodded. "I'll probably see them then." "Yeah," I said. "You probably will." I kept walking. When I got home, I looked up the Trappers Lake area online. I found a forum for the Flat Tops Wilderness. I scrolled through old posts looking for anything about strange experiences, about orange tents, about things that moved when you weren't looking. I found one post from 4 months earlier, a woman asking if anyone else had experienced spatial confusion near Trappers Lake. She described seeing the same campfire in multiple locations. 3 people had replied, telling her it was probably altitude sickness or dehydration. She never posted again. I wanted to reach out to her. I wanted to ask if she felt what I felt. That feeling that the wilderness had rejected her, that she'd been in a place she wasn't supposed to be. Seeing things meant to drive her out. But I didn't, because I knew what she'd say. That she wasn't sure what was real anymore. That she'd started questioning things, even in her normal life. Seeing her car in the driveway when she'd parked it on the street. Finding her keys in her pocket when she'd left them on the counter. That the wilderness had followed her home. I don't camp anymore. I can't. Every tent looks the same to me now. Every orange dome in every campground makes my chest tighten, and sometimes, late at night, I hear a zipper opening somewhere in my house. I hear footsteps in rooms I'm not in. I hear breathing that isn't mine. Sarah called me last week, asked if I was okay, said I sounded different. I told her I was fine, but I keep thinking about that tent. How it moved closer each time. How it was trying to tell me something. Maybe that I was already gone before I ever went into those woods. That the person who hiked out wasn't quite the same person who hiked in. Or maybe that being alone isn't something you choose. Sometimes it chooses you. Story 4. I was 34 when I took my daughter camping for the first time. Her name was Lily, and she'd just turned 7. The divorce had been finalized 3 months earlier, and I only had her every other weekend, 14 days a month. That's all I got. My ex-wife Jennifer had made it clear she thought I was an unfit parent. Not in court. She was too smart for that. Just in the 1,000 small ways she undermined me. The comments about how Lily always came back tired or off schedule or confused. The way she checked Lily's backpack when I dropped her off, like she was searching for evidence of neglect. The camping trip was my idea, my way of proving I could be the dad Lily needed. Jennifer had rolled her eyes when I told her, but she couldn't say no. It was my weekend. My time. We drove to the Vemenuche Wilderness in southwestern Colorado. I'd researched it carefully, family-friendly trails, established campsites, ranger stations nearby. Safe. Controlled. Lily was quiet on the drive. She'd been quiet a lot lately. Her therapist said it was normal for children of divorce, that she was processing the change, but sometimes she'd look at me with these old eyes, like she was trying to figure out who I was, now that I didn't live in her house anymore. "You excited, kiddo?" I asked as we pulled into the trailhead. She nodded, but didn't smile. We started hiking around 3 in the afternoon. The trail was easy, well marked, winding through pine forests and meadows. I packed light, just one night. Enough food, a first aid kit, bear spray. Everything a responsible parent should have. Lily walked ahead of me, her small backpack bouncing with each step. I'd let her packet herself her stuffed rabbit, a flashlight, some snacks. She'd been so careful about it, arranging everything just so. "Dad?" she said after about a mile. "Yeah, sweetheart. Mom said you left because you didn't love us anymore." My chest tightened. "That's not true, Lily. That's not true at all." "Then why did you leave?" "It's complicated. Adults sometimes." "I'm not stupid," she said, still walking, not looking back. "I know what cheating means." I stopped walking. She kept going for a few steps, then turned around. "Who told you that?" My voice came out harder than I intended. Mom didn't have to tell me. I heard her on the phone. I hear a lot of things. We stood there on the trail, 10 feet apart, my daughter looking at me like I was a stranger, like I was something that had hurt her. "I made mistakes," I said finally. "But I love you." That never changed. She turned and kept walking. We reached the campsite an hour before sunset. It was perfect, a clearing near a stream, a fire ring with logs arranged around it, flat ground for the tent. Only one other campsite was occupied. About 100 yards away, I could see a man setting up his tent, but he didn't acknowledge us. I set up our tent while Lily sat on a log, watching. She didn't offer to help, just watched with those two old eyes. Dinner was hot dogs roasted over the fire. She ate half of one. Not hungry? I asked. I'm tired. We can go to bed early if you want. Okay. We brushed our teeth at the stream as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. The temperature dropped fast, and I helped her into a sleeping bag. She clutched her stuffed rabbit against her chest. Dad? Yeah? Do you think about her? Who? The woman? The one you left Mum for. My throat closed. How do you... I saw a text on your phone. Before you moved out. Her voice was flat. Factual. Her name was Cassandra. You called her Cassie. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Do you still talk to her? Lily asked. No. That ended a long time ago. Did you love her more than Mum? Lily, it's not about, did you love her more than me? No. God, no. Lily, you're the most important. Then why does it feel like you picked her? Her voice cracked. Why does it feel like you chose someone I never met over me? I reached for her, but she turned away, facing the tent wall. I'm tired, she said again. I lay down next to her, staring at the tent ceiling, listening to her breathe. She didn't cry. I almost wished she would. Crying would be normal. This silence was something else. I must have fallen asleep because I woke up to cold air on my face. The tent door was open. Lily was gone. I was up instantly, heart hammering. Lily! I grabbed my flashlight and stumbled out of the tent. The fire had died to embers. The campsite was dark except for my beam cutting through the trees. Lily! Nothing. I spun in a circle, the flashlight jerking across trees and rocks and shadows. Lily! This is Nephonin! I heard something. Crying, coming from the direction of the stream. I ran toward it, branches tearing at my face, rocks turning under my feet. The crying got louder. Desperate, terrified, I found her sitting on a rock by the water, sobbing, her rabbit clutched in her arms. Lily! I dropped to my knees in front of her. What happened? Why did you leave the tent? She looked at me, her face wet with tears, and said, I wanted to see if you'd come find me. What? I wanted to see if you'd notice I was gone. If you'd come looking. She was shaking. Mom said you didn't notice when we were hurting. When she was crying at night and I was scared, she said you were too busy with your phone, with your secrets. Lily, I wanted to see if you'd look for me, or if you'd just stay asleep. My heart broke, completely shattered. I will always come find you, I said, pulling her into my arms. Always, no matter what. You understand me? She sobbed against my chest, her small body shaking. We sat there for a long time, by the dark water, while she cried out something I couldn't fix with words. Eventually, I carried her back to the tent. She fell asleep quickly, exhausted from crying. I lay awake, staring at her face in the darkness, memorizing it. That's when I heard footsteps outside, slow, deliberate, circling the tent. I grabbed the bear spray, my hand shaking. Who's there? The footsteps stopped. Then a voice, male, calm. Is everything all right? I heard screaming earlier. The man from the other campsite. We're fine, I called back. My daughter just got scared. Kids do that. New places, strange sounds, a pause. You're doing this alone? Just you and her? Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Yes, that's brave. Taking on that responsibility, being both parents at once. We're fine, I repeated. Thanks for checking. Sure thing. The footsteps moved away, then stopped. Hey, one more thing. What? Earlier, when I was setting up camp, I saw your daughter. She was standing at the edge of the tree line, just watching me for maybe 10 minutes. Didn't say anything. Just watched. My blood went cold. When was this? Right before sunset. You were busy with the tent. I looked at Lily. She was asleep, or appeared to be. Kids are strange sometimes, aren't they? The man said. The way they look at you, like they know something you don't. Please leave, I said. Of course. Didn't mean to bother you. The footsteps moved away. then, quieter, almost to himself. Strange how they test us. See what we're made of. I didn't sleep. I sat up the entire night, bear spray in one hand, watching the tent door, listening. At one point, around 4 in the morning, Lily's eyes opened. She looked directly at me. "He's right, you know," she whispered. "What?" "I was testing you. I'm always testing you. I'm always testing you." She closed her eyes again. "And you keep failing." When morning came, I packed everything as fast as I could. Lily didn't ask why we were leaving early. She just put on her backpack and started walking. The man's campsite was empty. His tent was gone, like he'd never been there. On the drive home, Lily stared out the window. I tried to make conversation, but she wasn't interested. When I dropped her off at Jennifer's house, my ex-wife took one look at us, and her expression hardened. "What happened?" "Nothing. We had a good time." Jennifer looked at Lily. "Sweetie, go inside." Lily walked past her mother without a word. Jennifer stepped closer to me, her voice low. "I don't know what you did up there, but she texted me last night at 2 in the morning. "What?" "She doesn't have a phone. She used yours while you were asleep." Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me the message. 3 words. "He forgot again." I stared at the screen. "I don't understand. Forgot what?" Jennifer's eyes were hard. "Her medication. She told you 3 times before you left, reminded you to pack it. Her anxiety medication, the one she takes every night." My stomach dropped. "You forgot," Jennifer said. Again. "Just like you forgot her recital. Just like you forgot her birthday last year because you were with that woman. You don't pay attention. You never have. This is the last camping trip. The last anything unsupervised." She stepped back. "My lawyer will be in touch." She closed the door in my face. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at my phone. At that message, he forgot again. I drove home in silence, let myself into my empty apartment, sat on the couch in the dark. That was 4 months ago. I haven't seen Lily since. Jennifer filed for full custody, said I was neglectful, showed the court the text message, the missed medication, a pattern of unreliability. The judge agreed. I have supervised visitation now, 2 hours every Sunday, in a room with a social worker watching. Lily doesn't talk much during those visits, just sits across from me, coloring or reading, while I try to make conversation. Last week, I asked her if she remembered our camping trip. She looked up at me with those old eyes and said, "Which part? The part where I ran away to see if you'd notice, or the part where you forgot I needed help?" The social worker shifted in her chair, taking notes. "Both," I said quietly. "I remember all of it," Lily said. "I remember everything you forget. I still think about that night, about the man circling our tent, about what he said that kids test us to see what we're made of. I failed that test. I've been failing it for years. And the worst part is, I didn't need a stranger in the woods to tell me that. My daughter already knew. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's waiting in the dark. It's seeing yourself through the eyes of someone you've hurt, and knowing there's no going back to who you were before they saw you clearly." So how did that story make you feel? These are the kinds of real, unsettling experiences that stay with people long after they leave the wilderness. If you want more dark, realistic horror stories like these, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which story affected you the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.